I'm Lauren Myers, Associate Editor of Monograph Matters for the Society for Research in Child Development. Today, I'll be talking to Dr. Tina Malti, author of a recent issue of the Monographs for the Society for Research in Child Development. Dr. Malti's co-authors are Joanna Peplock and Linling Zhang. Their work is titled The Development of Respect in Children and Adolescents. You can visit monographmatters.srcd.org for videos, commentaries, teaching materials, and additional content related to this work. Can you describe some of your key findings?
Some of our key findings related to the themes that came up when children talked about respect. So one of the core findings was that children across ages predominantly mentioned pro-social themes when conceptualizing respect. And that is a finding that was to our surprise, because in the past theorizing assumed that especially younger children would see respect as something that is based on authority or possibly fear-based sanction, and that is not reflected in our findings. So children show admiration and esteem for others who engage in good or ethically relevant behaviors, such as caring, helping, or sharing for younger kids, but also treating others in a way that expresses dignity.
Great. Were there any other key findings?
Another interesting developmental finding was that with age, children increasingly mentioned themes of fairness and equality when talking about respect. And that very much also reflects related literature on the development of an understanding of equality and fairness. So really even mentioning the golden rule in their conceptualizations of respect. And that really shows respect is an issue that children and adolescents associate with pro-sociality and fairness, and not with authority or merit, which was also quite surprising.
Interesting. And do you have any clue on where these are coming from, kind of how children are socialized into these conceptions of respect, or where they are getting these ideas from?
We did not study this, but of course we have some insights from related work on the socialization of empathy, sympathy, and related emotions and behaviors. So I think first and foremost, an appreciation of respect requires a warm and supportive environment, because such an environment expresses respect for the child. And so when you are immersed in an environment that basically lives what you're supposed to gain, there is almost a natural lead into the development of respect. So that is one idea that of course has been taken up by intervention programs that promote empathy, kindness, and related social emotional capacities, focusing on a warm and supportive climate that appreciates the child, celebrates the child and the peer group, and really attends very carefully to their needs. But beyond that, of course, it is also about how to deal with, rule-breaking behavior. So not just, using punishment as a punitive strategy, but rather using something that Marty Hoffman called induction. So really explaining, how one's behavior or one's misbehavior affected the other child. And so really explaining why it is not good to do or engage in harmful behaviors is another important strategy that likely also facilitates respect for others.
As you're talking, you can really hear those classic developmental concepts of authoritative parenting, as well as I can hear how it goes back to the constructivist thinking of the conception of respect coming from the child's own experience of being respected. So that's really interesting. Thank you. Do you have any other thoughts on implications your work has for how adults can foster an environment of respect with children. And for instance, are there any specific practices in family or school settings that, according to your work, would encourage children to develop a conception of respect?
Our work suggests that there are several strategies that can be used to promote respect in the family and in the school environment. I think serving as an ethical exemplar or providing opportunities to observe ethical exemplars can be very powerful. Just seeing someone like, Gandhi, and now, of course, that's high stake, or learning about, what humans are possible to do, the extraordinary capacities to show goodness can be very powerful on a young person's mind and soul. So it's really about educating the mind and the heart, to cite Aristotle. And so for the school context, that means, that beyond an agenda that focuses on academic excellence, it's really about taking seriously the notion that we want to promote the heart by reaching out to every child's needs, including, support and warmth, providing opportunities for role taking, and helping the child appreciate others' perspectives. I think are all essential techniques and, mere ideas really to help promote respect. Most importantly, again, a supportive environment in which the child feels appreciated as he or she is, just as a human being, not because she is the best, student in math or whatever, is likely going to facilitate that understanding of, general respect, so that we appreciate everyone because he or she is a human being, just as we are. So acknowledging that, the similarity between everyone in an environment helps, because that is part of how we understand and express respect as humans.
As you're talking, I'm reminded of the parenting philosophy that these days is called respectful parenting, where the general philosophy is exactly what you're saying, where the parent treats the baby as a partner in the interaction. And a good example of a respectful parenting kind of behavior would be when a parent is, say, picking up an infant to change their diaper, that rather than just going up and grabbing the baby with no warning, the parent would instead go up and say to the child, "Can I pick you up?" and offer their hands, so that it then gives the baby a chance to be involved in the interaction and reach up their own hands in response to the parent. And so that even something as simple as a diaper change could become a really meaningful, warm chance for the parent and the baby to interact and share emotions and communicate even before the baby has spoken their first word. Do you have any reactions to that kind of philosophy?
I think it's a wonderful philosophy, and respectful parenting really reflects, lots what we talk about in our work. And I think it has a lot to do with how we communicate with our children. And that again has to do with, empathy and really trying to understand where the child is at. So our own sensitivity and empathic capacity to step into the child's mind and really try to reach him or her where she is at helps, to create an interaction that is very respectful, and by giving the child a choice, not just, pointing to what's next, on the agenda, we appreciate that possibly the child has a different idea about what and how to do it. And even if not so, it's just about giving an opportunity to participate in an age-appropriate manner that really supports respect. Because in that moment, I feel my mom is really, respecting, me and really giving me the choice and, kind of some space to choose. And I think that is very powerful in also providing the necessary inner strength and warmth and openness to show respect to others, in return, so to speak.
Thank you to Dr. Malti for joining us today. As a reminder, this work is published in the Monographs for the Society for Research in Child Development. The title of the work is The Development of Respect in Children and Adolescents. Be sure to visit monographmatters.srcd.org for videos, commentaries, teaching materials, and additional content related to this work. Thank you.